Good evening, everyone. We welcome you to the closing ceremony of Strawberry Fields High School Model United Nations Conference 2021. We extend our gratitude to everyone present here, esteemed guests, honorable delegates, and distinguished advisors, for helping us to execute a memorable and enriching event despite these unexpected circumstances. The last 2 days witnessed remarkable debating skills and phenomenal ideas that have been derived from the heated and fruitful discussions during the committee sessions, with an erudite executive board panel and delegates from across the country. It has been an honor to host such a glorious event, and we hope it was a fruitful experience for you as it was for us. Your ideas and interpretations will contribute towards a joyous and tranquil future, which is a necessity in today's world of chaos. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we present to you the closing ceremony.
We're fortunate this evening to be privy to the views of our honorable guests as they share these in conversation with Anya Malik, the Director General for Strawberry Fields High School Model United Nations Conference 2021. We have here with us Ms. Shweta Singh, noted journalist and graduate from Patna University. Ms. Singh is a news anchor and senior executive editor of special programming at Aaj Tak. Ms. Shweta has worked with Zee News and Sahara before she started working with Aaj Tak in 2002. She is known for covering sports-related news and has also won an award for her show Saurav Ka Sixer by the Sports Journalism Federation of India in 2005. Our next guest is Mr. Sonu Sood, actor, producer, philanthropist, and humanitarian. Having received multiple awards for his skillful acting in Indian cinema, Mr. Sood was also chosen for the SDG Special Humanitarian Action Award by the United Nations Development Programme for his philanthropical works during this COVID-19 pandemic. His dedication towards countless families propelled him to start the Sonu Sood Foundation to help people from all walks of life. During the nationwide lockdown, Mr. Sood helped thousands of stranded Indian migrant workers to reach their homes, and through his constant efforts, he provided the much needed oxygen cylinders and plants for COVID-19 patients in India. Sir, you've motivated us all by being a beacon of light in dark times. We are honored to have you both amidst us this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Anya Malik in discussion with our guests.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. So without further ado, we will begin. So my first question, I'll be posing a series of questions to both our hosts today. And sir and ma'am, at any point of time you feel that you may want to address the audience who is here today, you may stop and do so. You can give an address and completely the freedom is to you guys. So my first question would be, considering you guys have been doing so much work during the COVID-19 pandemic, be it reporting, be it helping out with resources, how do you manage that time balance that many of us, it takes years to achieve, that time balance between your work life and that between your family life? So how do you balance that? So we'll have you first.
Should I answer first?
Yes, sir.
Am I there?
Yes, sir.
I can't see you, sorry. One second.
Yeah, then definitely I do feel that many of us in the audience here would agree that the balance, trying to strive a balance between the working life and the personal life, it is very, very difficult. It takes many years for somebody to achieve that level. And I think it's an inspiration to all of us that, sir and ma'am here can strike that balance. So maybe they could give us some kind of an insight as to how they strive this balance. How is their journey so far? So we'll be having that conversation here today.
If Shweta can answer, I'll just there's some technical issue with my phone. I'm just trying to sort that out.
Definitely, sir. So, ma'am, am I audible? All right. Yes. So is it audible, ma'am, as well?
Yeah. Sorry.
Of course.
I would say I didn't plan anything. It happened, and I remember the day. I was distributing food on the roads of Mumbai, and when I saw these families going by foot, asking for a food for 8-10 days because they had a lot of little kids with them, and they had planned that they're going to walk down 600-800 kilometers. So I felt, these are the people who actually built our homes. These are the ones who made our roads and our offices. And today, when they need a helping hand, we can't be sitting at our homes in the comfort of our four walls and let them go. So I thought, why not try? And I took that mission of sending them back to their homes. It took a lot of running around, but I remember the first time I could send those 350 people to Bangalore, to Karnataka. So that's the place, that's the time when the whole mission began. And I thought, I'll make sure that I'll send every single individual, whichever part of the country they are stuck. And it started growing every day. But the whole experience has been a life-changing one. I've done movies in all the languages. Past 18, 19 years, we have been doing movies. But I would say the most important role of my career is the one that I'm playing right now. And I always say Almighty is the director of what I'm doing right now. And I just want to stay in this character forever. And I hope that, God keeps me guiding, and I keep on connecting with many more souls every single day.
So I would say we definitely need more people like you in this world. It's in this world, today's world, it's really selfish. Everybody only looks out for themselves. But we definitely do need more people like you, which leads me to my second question. So what are your views regarding the current situation of students in India? I know that you've done a lot of work regarding the CBSE boards and everything. So definitely, what do you feel in today's audience? It's filled with students. So what do you feel about the current scenario of online learning?
I think it's definitely great. We're learning new lessons of life. Everyone has explored that, you can do a lot of things sitting at your home. You can do your classes. You can do a lot of work, office work also. But again, all said and done, last 2 years have taught us that, every single individual, doesn't really matter if you're rich, famous, or you're privileged to help others, but still you can do your bit. You can lend that helping hand, and then you see yourself grow stronger every day. If you would ask me 2 years ago to get an appointment for a doctor, I would still hunt in my mobile list, how to get you an appointment, even in the city I live. But today, after doing almost 3,700 surgeries in last 16 months across the country, I got connected with hundreds of hospitals, thousands of doctors, and you ask me, I can make that happen in 2 minutes. So I think that's what I've learned, that if you take that first step, not for your own thing, but to help someone unknown somewhere, you can bring that change. And I remember someone asked me, how do you do that? Suddenly you send oxygen cylinders, medicines, injections, get them beds in the most difficult times. So how do you do that? I always say that, I don't think twice calling somebody I don't know for someone I don't know. So I think we always have those connections in the course of life we have, but we think twice before calling, and we think, yaar, samne wala kya sochega if I call them? Should I take that favor or not? But when you call that individual without thinking twice and you save a life, I think that makes you, stronger. And I have chosen that path, and I'll try to continue that.
Definitely. Thank you so much, sir. So we have ma'am here. Good evening, ma'am. We're very happy and honored to have you here. So my next question would be for you. So considering you guys have done a lot of work during the COVID-19 entire pandemic. So my first question regarding media to you would be, what are your views regarding fake news and the spread of misinformation through dubious platforms with vested interests? So what do you talk about, because now, because of COVID, so much fake news has been circulating, fake leads and fake everything. So what do you think can be done to reduce this fake news? And how can the audience differentiate between genuine and fake news? So is there like a tell that you can tell that this one would be real, this one's verified, or this one's fake?
See, everybody these days is a victim to fake news. Number one, I think the first thing we need to do to get rid of fake news is educate people. If a person like Sonu Sood can get a lot of brickbats for the work that he was doing, despite the fact that nobody else was coming up, be it governments, be it administration, anybody. Yet, if you remember, at that particular time, there were various news which connected him to things. What could he do? He could do nothing. He could wait for people to make their own judgment. If you try to find out what is fake and what is not fake, what is real, there are plenty of websites. But again, those websites have their own agenda. So you as an individual have to use your education, apply your mind and think whether it is right or it is wrong. I have a lot of fake videos to my name. I can go and file an FIR and try to talk sense to those people, but nothing happens. So we as individuals have to decide what is right and what is wrong. If it's a small thing like the earth is flat, you will be able to understand with your education. But if it is a thing like there is a quote by somebody or XYZ says that there is a research that such and such thing happened, then I feel even on Google, there is something known as tracing the origin of a story. So if we as individuals take initiative, when something utterly distasteful is circulated on our WhatsApp group, then we have to take a stand against it. No website, no news organization, nobody can tell you what is right and what is wrong. It is a very complicated world we live in.
I think definitely even in this audience, we'll have around 50 to 60 people who've been, reading fake news because the WhatsApp forwards have become so popular nowadays. It's so difficult to differentiate between what is fake news and what is real news. Which leads me to a joint question for the both of you. So taking into consideration the devastating effects of the pandemic on this Indian economy, and I know it's very cliche to say that, this pandemic has been really bad for all of us. In some ways good, some ways bad. So how do you think that we as, the young people who mostly are told by our parents that, tum bachche ho, and, you guys stay away from it. But how do you think there are some ways that we can step up? Because there are so many leaders over here, especially being a part of this conference. So what do you think, how can we in our own little way step up during this pandemic? So just 2-3 ways. So we'll have you first, followed by Ms. Shweta.
Should I answer that?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry, this little, I'm actually have a flight to catch, so I'm just, waiting at one hotel next to the airport. So just trying to connect with you guys.
So much
but like I said, yes, yeah. So I would say the newer generation is the real machinery that can make things move. I'll give you a small example. I have my nephew and nieces who live in Nagpur. So when the pandemic was in full form, during the first wave, so a lot of people that I sent, I connected with almost 7.5 lakh migrants when I sending them back to their homes. So they had my numbers and still my phone rings non-stop. I'm still using that number. Still I'm connected in thousands of messages I get. So there were 2 reasons. One was I could discontinue with that number, get a new one and make those people again struggle to get connected with me. And when all these people got sick, they had some medical problems, they had some education problems, they again connected, and to an extent, I solved a lot of problems for them. My nephew and nieces who lived in Nagpur were visiting me in those days, and they were the ones who are mostly on Instagram, on social media, doing the bit on Snapchat, on all these platforms. So I said, nothing doing here. I'm going to give you 2 or 3 cases every single day, and you have to call those people, speak to the doctors, speak to the hospitals, line up things, medicines, books for them, or education you have to do, and you have to solve those cases. Rest I will do. So, they said, okay, Punamasa will do it. And they started calling doctors, these patients, getting them in places like UP, Bihar to these hospitals. And finally, when these they could save few lives, all these people send them messages, ki, thank you so much, aapne hamari zindagi bacha di, you are God for us. So these are all 14, 16-year-old kids. And they said, ki, Punamasa, we felt so nice. All our life, we never actually imagined that we can save a life. And now after doing that, we want to do that. So please give us more cases. And I started giving them for a whole month. They must have saved 20, 25 lives, both of them. They feel so proud. In this circle, they get honored. They're called as chief guests in their circle. Then in the same group of kids who used to party together, they are now considered as philanthropist, at this young age. So I think that's what we need to do as parents, as kids, as friends. We should motivate each other. Let's make this happen. Let's do it. And I know, when last time, Anya Malik has connected me with you guys, I got to know that at this young age, you have been doing so many things, putting things together for the needy people. So I feel this is what our country needs, a generation that's teaching people, that generation that's inspiring people. And I'm sure you'll watch that, what ripple effect is going to, make to this country. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that.
Definitely. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, we'll have your views on this.
See, there are two ways of looking at it. There are a lot of people, because journalists were the only ones who were going on the ground. Everybody else was under lockdown from day one. And I was out from day one, so I could see people suffering in front of me. So what I did was I kept some food packets with me, which were not perishable. So I, as and when we reported, if somebody came up, I would give them, because there were also people who did not like to ask. There were people from that class who had been working throughout and had never asked anybody for any help. So it was more embarrassing for them. So if we were doing stories, I would generally ask, do you need money? And it was a very nominal amount that they wanted. Now, there are two ways of looking at it. If I want to do a bigger, a larger thing, like probably what Sonu did was arrange buses and send people. And there's another way of helping out is if you have limited resources, you help one person. So if one person helps one person, looking at our population, I think everybody will get some bit of help. I'm saying this because we can mobilize. We know people, we can mobilize resources. You cannot mobilize resources. You can probably get a group, feed people and stuff. Ek season ke liye chalega, then you would need money. Then you would need people to finance you. You also have to study. You also have a career to build. Your situation is different from what our situation is. So even if you take just one family which is there, वो जो आयरन कर रहा है आपके कपड़ों को रोज और वो गांव जाने पर मजबूर है, उस टाइम if you somehow 4-5 of you get together and you would have thought कि इसको किसी तरीके से just bare minimum, बस थोड़ा घर में जो खाना बन रहा है उसमें से कुछ मिलते जाए, so that he stays on. He didn't come to metro city for tourism. He came there for his work. So if he has to leave, he's leaving because he does not have work. So if we could have supported one person at that time, one family at a time, then I think looking at the entire country, everybody would have been able to do it. In these situations where the second lockdown happened and when the second wave happened and now there is a threat of the third wave looming, then even if there is one business, a shop in our locality, and we think कि नहीं यहीं से खरीदना है, थोड़ा सा तो यहाँ से खरीदना है. If we are
little things that matter.
Yeah, not doing well, but थोड़ा बहुत पैसा है, we think कि इससे ही लेते हैं, थोड़ा सा he will get support. These are just the small ways that we can look at. The larger things can be done when we can mobilize more.
Thank you so much. I think that was really informative. These are little ways to do your little bit, which I'm sure will inspire a lot of participants here. So, which leads me to a lot of questions that we had from the audience. So, I'll have a quick rapid fire round with ma'am and sir. So, we can get a little familiar with your background, how you are at the place that you are, because including myself, I am very inspired and something I definitely, if there's two role models that I would have, it would definitely be the two of you. So, let's everybody get to know you guys a little bit. So, is there any character or role that you've played in your films that has impacted and shaped your personality? This is for Mr. Sonu Sood, sir.
But I've designed a lot of roles. When I started, for example, Dabang. I remember when Dabang was offered, I said no to the movie. Actually, initially, I was supposed to play Chulbul Pandey, and when Salman loved the role and he said, I would like to say, I said, go ahead, man. And then I was offered Chedi Singh. I said, no, I'm not doing that because I'm not very excited about the role. But when I was doing my engineering, be in electronics, I did from Nagpur. So I used to live with a lot of people from Bihar. Shweta is from Bihar. So people used to call me Bihari because I used to live with all Bihari guys, And I know every single from Sitamarhi to Patna to Ara. I've been every corner of that state. So there's a certain connection I have. So I said, let me design the character. So everything that Chedi Singh did, the way he sat, the way he spoke, the way he dressed, everything was from my friends whom I had spent so many years during my college days. So that's why maybe it looked more authentic. But yes, I was not trained to be an actor. It happened accidentally. Accidentally, I would say, because after finishing my engineering, I came to Mumbai without knowing a single soul. But all the characters I did, somewhere they are always with me, and somewhere they are inspired from some individual I've come across my life.
Thank you, sir. So, ma'am, can we have something about a little bit of your background? So, how was your life growing up? Like certain values that you had instilled that you feel like if your parents or anybody who had brought you up would not have instilled, you would not have had till this day, that you still carry forward in your work every day?
My grandfather served in the army. He fought 4 wars. So I was and he brought us up. I lived with him, not with my parents. So I always wanted to be an army officer, but girls were not allowed in combat role. Then I wanted to be an IPS officer so that I could at least hold the gun to be the good guy and put the bad guys behind the bars. But that could also not happen. So my entry into journalism was completely accidental. And coming from a place like Patna, where a girl coming on screen was not a very acceptable idea, because I started fresh out of 10th. I started when I was 15 and a half. So it's been a long time. I've actually forgotten that entire period. But definitely whatever my grandfather at the most famous Gandhi Maidan of Patna, he used to make me sit there and study so that I could, after I finished my assignment, I could watch a film right across the Gandhi Maidan. So it was always there. Whatever he taught me, I always say that I got an army training as a youngster. So those are the ethics that I carry even now.
I think grandparents play such an integral part in, the growing up of anybody's life today, because they've seen the world as it is. And I really feel like those lessons are always going to be with us forever. So my next question is for Mr. Sood. So Mr. Sood, considering you're an inspiration to so many of us, mobilizing, and I'm pretty sure there are so many knowns of minds as well who have received help from you. Who was your one inspiration who led you to do the wonderful work that you've been doing?
Well, I would say maybe my parents. My mom was a professor in the college, and she always used to teach people, all the kids, free of cost, day and night. My father had a cloth shop in Punjab, and every week he used to have a langar. And when I used to stand with him and give food to the needy people, so seeing those smiles always used to make me wonder कि क्या खास बड़ी बात है उनको थोड़ा सा खाना मिल गया. But now I realize कि जब आपको किसी अनजान इंसान से मदद मिलती है तो उसकी वैल्यू क्या होती है, without any expectation. My mom, if someone used to discontinue the study from the college, my mom used to ask me to get the scooter out, and in the middle of those peak summers of Punjab, we used to go 30-40 kilometers to those villages, hunt for that house, hunt for the child, and my mom used to go to their family and convince them that education is very important, just let them continue. So now when I do all that, unfortunately I lost my parents and I miss them every single day for whatever little I do. But I'm sure, something that's what was taught to me in my growing days, and that's what stayed with me all these years. And I get so many script offers these days, but it doesn't excite me. Lots of my directors and producers says कि boss करना तो acting ही है, पढ़ लो script, इतना वक्त क्यों लगा रहे हो, And I said yeah sir, मैं पढ़ता हूँ, 2 दिन में पढ़ता हूँ, and again I get back to all these people. So I think that's where the happiness is. मुझे खुशी मिलती है जब मैं उन लोगों से मिलता हूँ, मैं उनसे बातचीत करता हूँ, and maybe I haven't met most of them, but when I solve a case, when we save a life, that's the biggest happiness. So I want to tell everyone, I'm sure you guys have your own share of experiences, but in those 24 hours, at least 1 hour, maybe 30 minutes, just keep it spare for someone you don't know. Maybe a watchman of your building, maybe a vegetable vendor, standing outside the building. Do your bit, send a cup of tea, send some cookies for them. कभी उनके लिए खाना बना के भेज दे कि भैया आप आज खाना खाओ. वो जो छोटी खुशी आपको मिलेगी, that you can't put in words. I remember my mom used to say it कि कभी अपनी मुट्ठी खोल के तो देख, शायद तेरी हाथ की लकीरों में किसी की जान बचाना लिखा हो. So I would say कि हमें वो मुट्ठी खोलनी जरूरी है. And that's the time we'll discover that we are meant for some bigger plan. So that's what my experience is, and I would like every one of you to explore and save many more lives together.
Thank you so much. So I think that really reminds us that no matter what age you're at, even if you're a teenager, even if you're in middle life, even if you're old, there's no particular age to help somebody out. And discovering that passion, finding it in the little things is definitely very, very important. So the world does definitely need more Mr. Sonu Sood and Ms. Shweta Singhs who are, risking their lives, helping us every single day. So how do you think we can nurture that sentiment? How can we, that change in passion, sir, that you talked about and ma'am that you talked about, that the things that excite you. So how can we nurture that sentiment in ourselves?
I think you have to live with those things. People always think that, मैं कैसे करूँगा? I don't know any people who can help me get a job. I started this platform called Pravasi Rozgar when I was sending migrants back to their homes and used to ask them कि वापस कब आओगे? And they used to say कि सर कोई काम मिलेगा तो वापस आएंगे नहीं या फिर अपने गांव में कुछ काम करेंगे. So I knew that this is going to be a big issue and I started making this platform Pravasi Rozgar, which is now called Good Worker. And we've created jobs to close to 239,000 people in last 16 months. अगर आप मुझसे 1.5 साल 2 साल पहले पूछते तो मैं शायद 2 या 4 लोगों को जॉब दिला पाता. लेकिन आज हमारे घर में, चाहे मैं आज चंडीगढ़ में हूँ, मैं कल अभी रात को हैदराबाद पहुंचूंगा, लेकिन आज भी मेरे घर के नीचे जो दूध वाला है, जो दूध बांटता था, उसने जिंदगी में कभी कुछ चैरिटी का काम नहीं किया होगा, लेकिन उसको घर के नीचे खड़ा देख के ये जो जरूरतमंद लोग हैं उसको अप्रोच किया कि सर हमारा ये काम करवा दो, और उसने मुझे देना शुरू किया, लोगों की हेल्प मिलनी शुरू हुई, उनकी फीसें कॉलेज की भरनी शुरू हुई, मेडिकल ट्रीटमेंट होना शुरू हुआ, एंड नाउ ही इज ऑल्सो काइंड ऑफ अ गुड गाय हु इज डूइंग लॉट ऑफ गुड वर्क. एक फॉर्म नीचे रहता है, एप्लीकेशन फॉर्म, जहाँ पे आप भरिए, आपको जॉब चाहिए, एजुकेशन चाहिए, मेडिकल ट्रीटमेंट चाहिए या एनीथिंग, write a detail and people fill their forms and we try to make that happen. So yes, I think you learn every single day if you are ready to learn that, and keep those windows always open. And I'm sure a lot of inspiring people like Shweta and all who are today connected with us, they will teach you some lesson of your life that will change your life. So I think that's what we have been trying to do, and we'll continue doing that.
Yes, thank you, sir. Ma'am, how do you think we can nurture that sentiment? How did you have that change in passion?
I never gave up. I was always, whatever I was, yes, I gave up one dream, but technically the passion, I never gave up. That's what I would like to say is, I don't work because I have to earn money. I don't work because I have to be famous. I don't work because I like being called a journalist. I work because I am passionate about learning new things every day. That was something I wanted to do. I love giving information to people who do not know. It has a kind of empowerment if you think about it. Anybody with information is empowered. If you don't know, you're clueless. It's better that if you want a job, you should know how to get a job. If you want to de-stress, you should know how to go about it. If you want to do an exam, you should know how to study. You can't just randomly study. You people are students. You know that whenever you open a book, there is a way of doing it. There is a way of preparing for examinations. So when you get this information, now there's Google, but when we started, there was no Google. We were the what do you call, the traditional concept of what Google is. News dekh lo, pata chal jayega. I know there is a lot of misinformation, and I know media has changed to a point where which is not good and which needs to change again. But if I give up right now, who will make that change possible? So I know there are problems, and I, at my own small level, there might be very few like me, but I try to fight against that particular form that we are getting into. And there are other people like me who will form an army and fight against that particular change, which should not be affected as far as my profession goes. So wherever anybody is, jo bhi kaam hai, bas usme passion ki zarurat hai. If you're passionate about what you're doing it because you love that job, not because what you're getting out of it, then you'll always be successful and you're on the right path.
Definitely, ma'am. So my second one is a follow-up. So can you give some tips, especially for aspiring young journalists and reporters in our audience, about the authenticity of news being reported, how they can go into this stream? So a little bit on how, if they want to reach where you are at today, which is a big inspiration to all of us, what is some milestones that we can achieve to reach that place?
Never walk the path that has already been walked. If most of you want to be on camera to do a journalist's job, I think that is not the right approach. You have to love cricket to be a cricketer, not love cricketers to be a cricketer. Okay, you have to love the game. So you have to love journalism. You don't have to love the fact that you will be on screen. It is not a consolation if you couldn't become an actor. Okay, I'll become a journalist. I will sit in front of the camera and be an anchor. No, you have to, if you want to become a journalist, you have to love the profession. You have to love the ethics that define journalism. You have to love to help people in any way. It cannot be just material help, but as I said, information which could empower people. You have to find a path for yourself, not like I will be the next XYZ. I will be the next XYZ reporter, the next XYZ producer. No, you have to find your own path, carve your own niche. Because when somebody else is there and you will be say there is a Rajdeep Sardesai and you think I will become a Rajdeep Sardesai is already there. You don't need to, the industry doesn't need you then. You have to be who you are. You need to be the first one. So you have to carve your path. You have to find a way.
Yes, definitely. So I'm so sorry we're taking up so much of your time, but we're very, very grateful to have you here. And I extremely apologize, but I know you have your flight. So I'll just keep it short and I'll ask you a few more questions. So, sir, how do you mobilize such strong support in such a short time? And that too during the most traumatic pandemic. So, you know, anybody who you've helped, all the articles that we read, everything that we see on your stories, you provide such quick and efficient help. So how do you mobilize all of that so fast?
I'll tell you, when I was helping all these people, like I said, I connected with almost 7.5 lakh migrants during the pandemic. So I made them my volunteers. We name a part, you name a small district also in any part of the country, I had their numbers. If anyone needed a buffalo to have the living on, so मैं उनको भेजता था कि पहुंच जाके देखो उनके घर में जरूरत है. That guy used to go there, check. He used to find a good buffalo also for me. क्या सर ये 8 या 10 किलो दूध देती है, इनको रोज का 800,000 रुपए मिलेगा. So सर खरीदो उसके घर में दो. And they had living, किसी को ई-रिक्शा भेजनी हो. So we had a authentic model of checking how genuine the needy is. I don't know how it was happening, but all the people I was helping, even during the second wave, hundreds and thousands of beds we got across the country, and all the people I helped, they became a volunteers. कि सर आपने बहुत मदद की हमारी फैमिली को बचाने के, and lost their loved ones. But I still remember a case in Uttarakhand. I was getting them lot of complications, and we lost that girl. She was expecting twins, and after 10 hours, I get a call from the husband and the sister. Sir, आपने बहुत कोशिश किया हमारी wife को, मेरी sister को बचाने का, but we couldn't. But now we want to join your army and we want to help people. So they became our volunteers. और उन्होंने आगे 2-3 लोगों की जान बचाई. So it was kind of a chain reaction, like it's called the ripple effect, जहाँ पर हर एक इंसान जरूरतमंद जिसकी जरूरत पूरी हुई या नहीं हुई, लेकिन वो उस part का हिस्सा बन गया. Most of the people now I have in my army, I haven't met them ever in my life. Yeah, if I have 100 people whom I connect, speak to them every day, those 100 people, every 100 has another 100 and another 100. So I think somewhere I'm connected to whole of the country, I would say. And we do a lot of things from nursery standard to 12th. We provide education, we provide CA courses, we provide, IS courses. You name a thing we are doing, we're trying to explore, because the idea is to reach out to maximum people, and a lot of universities, a lot of colleges connected with us, कि हम भी आपके साथ मिलकर अच्छा काम करने चाहते हैं. That's what we have been doing. I remember even one Glotha school, Strawberry Fields High School, उनके अतुल खन्ना साहब हैं, उनसे भी जब मेरी करण भाई से बात हुई, करण गिलौतरी से, उन्होंने बोला कि we would also like to support. आप बताइए कुछ, if you have serving kids, why not help them? So I think that was getting me connected with the right people who wanted to do good in life, and that's what I've been trying to do every single day. और आज देखिए, आज श्वेता से भी वापस मुलाकात होगी. I remember I met her years back when I had come there to Delhi for a promotion. But this is how I think the the positive energy attracts, and we keep on growing every single day.
We have Sir here with us today, definitely. Sir, is there any regrets that you would say, and ma'am, for you as well, are there any regrets in this field or anything that you feel like you may not have done? Do you feel like your families and your friends, have they been supportive? Any regrets in the current career?
For me, I wouldn't say there are any regrets. I thank God every single day for, I would say reinventing myself. Though I hardly get any time to spend with my family, and I'm sure, all the professionals, even Shweta would be facing the same thing. But I'm sure very proud. हम बोलते होंगे यार देखो हमारे घर का बच्चा बहुत से देखो कितना अच्छा काम कर रहा है. So I believe that difficulties are definitely going to come when you try to change your lane, which is and that is most special. That's what I would say. There's no regret, but yes, I regret that I invented myself late. I wish this would have happened 10 years ago, जहाँ पर वापस वो thought आते कि चलो कुछ अच्छा करते हैं, but better late.
Yes, sir. So let's keep it on the circle of positivity. And I'll address my questions to Ms. Shweta. So I know you have a flight, so definitely thank you so much for your time from the entire audience. And let's keep this circle of positivity going. I just have 2 more questions for Ms. Shweta. Yes.
Thank you so much. Bye, Shweta. Thank you so much. And bye, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, ma'am. So I did have 2-3 very popular questions from the audience from you. So having multiple years of experience of journalism under your belt and working with one of India's most popular news channels, how does your team continue to ensure that your work is accurate and factual? Like what's the order that goes on and how the news comes out? So what is the back end of it? Something we're very interested in.
See, since it's a very big group that I work for, there are various teams to do all the things. So I think the regular reporters, when they get a particular bit of news, they have to have it from accurate sources. How do you know your sources? You assess them yourselves. Like if there is say an information relating to a ministry, it should come from a very senior official or the minister. And then sometimes they don't want their names to be taken. That's why you hear source-based information. So this is the reporting team which gets in. We've got a fact-check team which does its work. Anchors are at the receiving end, because if you have a slip of tongue, one of the anchors once said 40th April instead of 30th. That is a slip of tongue. Nobody in their craziest of minds would actually think that a month has 40 days. So these are stupid things which people cling to. Sometimes when you speak something, they just take one sentence out of 10 sentences and make it to mean something. So I would not count this as being factual or not factual. This is completely nonsense by people who want to get some attention because it relates to people who come on camera. As far as news is concerned and facts are concerned, my group actually focuses on the fact that you do not have to rush with an information. If there is an information, you cross-check it from various sources and then you break that particular news so that there is no chance of you going wrong. Just because one person gives you an information and you put it on air, there are chances that it might be wrong information. So never hurry, cross-check it always. When in doubt, check it out. We studied it as a student of journalism and now I think it is correct even now.
Yes, so I'll just have my one last question for you. So media has definitely served as a very critical link connecting audiences world over. So now definitely with the online with everything, with the whole online learning part of it, it is the only link that we have. And not many realize the risks and vulnerabilities of media persons born in the field and in the newsroom. So what was your experience during not just the pandemic, but in similar emergency situations?
your voice cracked in the second last sentence, so I didn't actually get your question. If you could just once repeat it.
So media has served as a critical link connecting audiences world over. So not many of us realize the risks and vulnerabilities of media persons born on the field and in the newsroom. So what was your experience during not just the pandemic, but in similar emergency situations? So how have you dealt with those? Just like a couple of tips that we could also get.
You deal it one at a time. Every situation requires a different way of dealing with it. When Article 370 was abolished, I was in Kashmir a week before that, and I stayed on. The anger of people was natural because they did not know about it. And if it's the army or the CRPF or any of the security forces, they always have guns. We don't have guns. We just move around with mics. So people's anger would be vented at us. But eventually you have to stand, listen to them, be patient, not answer back. This happens with whenever you're in a crowd, because a crowd will have different point of views. I think more tougher than war reporting is reporting from a crowd which is agitated. And it takes a lot of maturity, balance to actually listen to people, to listen to abusers, not react, talk sense. So that is the most difficult thing. But I will also talk about the second wave of the pandemic, when people were actually queued up outside hospitals and people were waiting for oxygen and medicines like remdesivir. And when you stand there, because the doctors couldn't come out, they were inside the hospitals. Who were the government or the administration was not standing outside hospitals. Who was at the who was there that the people could see and ask for help? It was you. But what can you do? You cannot create a hospital bed. You can talk to the doctors कि ये बहुत critical लग रहा है, इसको please admit कर लीजिए. But what do you do when all 100 who are standing outside a hospital are all critical? All have their oxygen levels around 50, 60, 70. You cannot judge as a journalist. And the doctors were teary when they saw the situation. What could they have done? So there are also situations when you can't face it. You can just feel helpless. You just report the facts at that time. The truth was the infrastructure was missing and we had to report about that. So there are times when we can't help. We have to just sit there and see things. So these are different. You couldn't sleep at night. Those visuals would disturb you. You wake up in the morning with at least 100 messages from people to request you to admit them to hospitals. But you can't, because you cannot create a hospital bed. If you talk about one person to a hospital authority, you are denying the other person who was waiting there since the morning. So these are different situations. Some you can deal, some you can't deal with. And you have to learn to deal with things which you couldn't deal with. Otherwise, you'll always be stressed.
I think this conversation has given so many of us hope, including so many teenagers, me, myself. I've been, there's some kind of ray of hope to have people like you and Mr. Sood in the world. So thank you so much for your time here today. We'll be having, thank you.
On behalf of everyone present here, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guests, Ms. Shweta Singh and Mr. Sonu Sood, who have spared the time to share with us their life experiences, inspiring us to work towards the greater good of mankind. Sir, your great show of compassion, sending lakhs of migrant families home, providing them with food, direction, and resources to reach their homes in far-flung areas, serves to inspire us. We do feel too that the pandemic has helped to bring us together. As members of the human race, we are indeed connected. Actively taking on roles to help others, even at our age, is true service. To look out for someone we don't know, to help whoever we can, whenever we can, is a great learning. Ma'am, the fact that we all are victims of fake news is a given. We have to be discerning. We have to decide to believe in authentic information, be ethical ourselves. We can definitely empower ourselves with valid information. You have rightly stressed that passion for one's chosen field leads to eventual success. Your advice to help anyone in any way we can is very inspiring. The smallest show of support goes a long way. Thank you for gracing the Strawberry Fields High School Model United Nations Conference with your presence.
It would have been impossible to pull off such an event of such magnitude without the countless hours of tremendous effort put in by the members of our organizing committee, who have been working behind the scenes to ensure that the conference runs smoothly for all of us. We now proudly introduce to you the organizing committee of the Strawberry Fields High School Model United Nations Conference 2021. Heads of Department Registrations, Tanya Gupta, Vanya Gilotra, and Khushi Kapoor. Heads of Department International Press, Chaharika Uppal, Saisha Swani, Mannat Kaur, Uday Singh Jagat, Shaina Singh, and Bani Varaj. Heads of Department Information and Technology, Saksham Joshi, Hiranya Kakkar, and Aditya Sharma. Heads of Department Creative and Designing, Sanya Singhal, Kaira Mahajan, and Vijayan Chaudhary. Heads of Department Delegate Affairs, Nakul Takeja, Sarthak Gandhi, Yash Vora, and Tarme Vardhan. Heads of Department Finance, Yajan Goyal and Yatharth Gupta. Heads of Department Public Relations, Sikandar Singh, Ishani Goyal, and Rushil Dogar. Core officials, Ashna Jain, Misal Karan Singh Sidhu, Amreen Bedi, Jayesh Sharma, Talin Bansal, Akshat Kapoor, and finally, Alia Mohan, Amik Benz, and Arjun Mahunta.
This event would certainly not have been such a success without the countless hours put in by the Secretariat. Our first ever female-led Secretariat is proof of the statement made by Michelle Obama. There is no limit to what we as women can accomplish. Being a veteran debater and experienced public speaker, Anya has a tendency to excel at whatever she does. Her focus, commitment, and sheer grit make her an invaluable member of the organizing committee. We are proud to present Anya Malik, the Director General of Strawberry Fields High School Model United Nations Conference 2021. Being a prolific writer, an eloquent orator, and a passionate debater, Adya is the embodiment of all the qualities that others strive to imbibe. She is the epitome of a true leader and a smart worker. With her sense of purpose and her infectious zeal to accomplish all that she sets out to achieve, we present to you Adya Batra, Secretary General of Strawberry Fields High School Model United Nations Conference 2021. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we present to you the closing video. United Nations Conference 2021 open.
The purpose of life is to have fun. The purpose of life is not to have fear.
बहकी सभी जुबां है, हम हैं हजारों में, अब की कमी जरा है, हर चीज खास है, अब है जो है वो समा है, तुम रह सकी तो रबा है, अब है जो है वो समा है, तुम रह सके, ऐसी जीत अब चाहे जिंदगी, ऐसी जीत अब चाहे जिंदगी है। सहनी हमें सजा है, हम हैं बाजारों के, सबकी नजर यहाँ है, हर चीज राज है। अब है जो है वो समा है, तुम रह सकी तो रबा है। अब है जो है वो समा है, तुम रह सके, ऐसी जीत अब चाहे जिंदगी, ऐसी जीत अब चाहे जिंदगी है।
The moment we have all been looking forward to is here, the awards ceremony. We hope that these past 2 days have fostered a constructive forum for open dialogue on a range of complex issues. We commend all delegates for debating pressing issues and drafting creative and innovative solutions. The awards for United Nations General Assembly are as follows. The special mention goes to Delegate of Tunisia. The special mention too goes to Delegate of Guatemala. The high commendation goes to Delegate of Russian Federation. And finally, high commendation 1 goes to the Delegate of Chile. Finally, delegates, the best delegate for United Nations General Assembly goes to Delegate of Qatar. Next, Committee, International Court of Justice. We have the special mention to Judge Peter. The high commendation in this committee goes to Judge Julia. And finally, the best delegate goes to Judge George. For United Nations Historic Security Council, we present to you the awards. The special mentions go to Delegate of United States of America, Delegate of Venezuela, Delegate of France, Delegate of East Germany, Delegate of West Germany, and finally, Delegate of Turkey. The High Commendation Award goes to Delegate of Republic of China. And finally, the best delegate goes to the Delegate of USSR. Next, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the awards are as follows. The special mention 1 goes to Delegate of Canada. Special mention 2 goes to Delegate of India. Special mention 3 goes to Delegate of United Kingdom. The high commendation goes to Delegate of Sri Lanka. And finally, the best delegate goes to the Delegate of Switzerland. Awards for the Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice are as follows. The special mention 1 goes to the Delegate of United Kingdom. Special mention 2 goes to Delegate of Eswatini. The High Commendation Award goes to the Delegate of France. And finally, the best delegate goes to Delegate of China. The awards for Citizens Dialogue of India are as follows. Special mentions go to Amit Shah, Baba Ramdev, Manoj Kumar Jha, Umang Vora, Kapil Sibal, and Sonu Sood. The high commendation goes to Barkha Dutt. And finally, the best delegate goes to Mamta Banerjee. The awards for Committee X are as follows. The special mention 1 goes to Speaker 20. Special mention 2 goes to Speaker 16. Special mention 3 goes to Speaker 23. The High Commendation Award in this committee goes to Speaker 2. And finally, the best delegate goes to Speaker 13. And finally, we present to you the best delegation for Strawberry Fields High School Model United Nations Conference 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you the Sri Ram School, Malsari. An end is only a beginning in disguise. With bittersweet emotions, we come to the end of this year's MUN. We hope that with the conclusion of the conference, the emergence of independent, empathetic, and confident thinkers begins. The need of the hour is love and compassion for our fellow citizens. On behalf of the entire Strawberry Fields High School community, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone present here, guests who took out time from their hectic schedules to be here today, delegates who put forth excellent debates, and the executive board members who guided them through it all. The organizing committee, management, and teachers who put in weeks of hard work that made this conference the success that it is. The culmination of an event that starts off as a dream is indeed worth having to burn the candles at both ends. Once again, thank you for being a part of this journey with us. And with that, I, Adya Batra, the Secretary General of the Strawberry Fields High School Model United Nations 2021, declare the conference closed.